All right, welcome to the first reading passage. So I actually recommend that you print this passage and the questions out if you haven't already done so. It makes it a lot easier. I'm going to be doing it on the screen, and since I can't fit the entire reading passage on the screen, I've pasted the first paragraph here. So the very first step for any reading passage is to read the first paragraph to get a sense of what it's all about. So we're going to do that right now. I actually also recommend just reading the stuff before the first paragraph. So here's the first paragraph, lines 1 through 21. Let's just read this first. Prose fiction. Okay, so we know it's prose fiction. This passage is adapted from the novel The Ground Beneath Her Feet by Salman Rushdie. Um, Art Deco is an architectural and decorative style that was popular in the first half of the 20th century. So this blurb kind of gives us clue that maybe Art Deco, maybe about Art Deco or Art Deco has something to do with this passage. All right, so let's start reading. When you grow up, as I did, in a great city during what just happens to be its golden age, you think of it as eternal. Always was there, always will be. The grandeur of the metropolis creates illusion of permanence. The peninsular Bombay into which I was born certainly seemed perennial to me. Malabar and Kumbala Hills were our capital and Palatine. The Brabourne Stadium was our Coliseum. And as for the glittering Art Deco sweep of Marine Drive, well, that was something not even Rome could boast. I actually grew up believing Art Deco to be the Bombay style, a local invention, its name derived, in all probability, from the imperative of the verb to see. Art Deco, lo and behold art. When I began to be familiar with images of New York, I at first felt a sort of anger. The Americans had so much. Did they have to possess our style as well? But in another more secret part of my heart, the Art Deco of Manhattan, built on a scale so much grander than our own, only increased America's allure, made it both familiar and awe-inspiring, our little Bombay writ large. Okay, so that's the first paragraph. After you read it, or after I read it, I usually just write down just a couple words in terms of what it's all about. So really what jumps out to me is it's the narrator talking about where he grew up, Bombay, and Art Deco. That's really it. That's really all I'm going to write. So kind of the narrator growing up in Bombay and Art Deco. Don't really write, the more short and concise, the better. You don't want to write long sentences or anything like that because, time is of the essence here. So I'm just going to write Bombay and Art Deco. I think that's good enough for me. So whatever you write, it just has to make sense to you. Nobody else is going to be reading this. So that's all I'm going to write. Kind of the Bombay's relationship with the city of Bombay and also talking about how, there was the architecture, art style of Art Deco. Now, the second thing you're going to do, or that we're going to do, is we're going to do the specific line reference questions first. So if we look at question 1, the passage as a whole, so let me give me a sec here. So the passage as a whole can primarily be characterized as the narrators. So I'm just going to circle 1. This is more of a general question. We've only read the first paragraph, so I'm going to wait to do number 1. Number 2 as well, the narrator describes the photos by Bombay's first great photographers as primarily inspiring the narrator to. So we obviously haven't gotten there yet, and this seems like more of a general question, and it doesn't give any line references, so I'm going to circle number 2 to come back to it as well. So in the next video, we're going to go to numbers 3 and 4. Those are more specific related questions that we're going to tackle first. But the general thing that we need to do here, the first thing we do in every passage, the first step is we read the first paragraph. And in this case, it was lines 1 through 21. We also read this blurb here. We got the clue of, okay, Art Deco. And we just write a couple words that make sense to us in terms of what it's about, giving us a feel of, okay, what are we going to read about in the rest of the passage. So I'll see you in the next video in which we'll do numbers 3 and 4. See you there.